Good morning. So I am pleased to announce that uh, an academic scholarship in Jamaica in honor of my mother, Amy Downer, is to be launched next August 2026. Now, the scholarship will be awarded through Showers of Blessing Apostolic Church. It's three churches that started at Catadupa St. James, but there are two additional Showers of Blessing churches in Jamaica, in the western part of Jamaica, in the Cockpit Belt. One is in Ginger Hill, Claremont, and one is in Stonehenge. They're spin-offs from the original church that's 95 years old that I grew up in, and my mother, would bring me to Sunday school, and that's how I learned about God and the primary love that's eternal, grace and salvation, and the redemptive truth of God's love for us through His Son, Christ Jesus. So the scholarship that I've created in memory of my mother will provide financial assistance to one youth member of the Showers of Blessing Gospel Academy Apostolic Church in Catadupa, the Showers of Blessing Church in Claremont, Ginger Hill, the Showers of Blessing Church in Stonehenge, and the award, which will value approximately 1,000 Canadian dollars, which right now in 2025 May, it's valued at 100,000, approximately 100,000 Jamaican dollars. Seeks to help to ease the financial burdens of parents, some of whom might be struggling unassisted to give their children an education so they can become economically independent adults, equipped to maximize their full potential. And the scholarship will also aim to reinforce to the youth members of the Showers of Blessing Apostolic churches, the three of them that I mentioned in Western Jamaica, that the young people that are part of the church are important, and just as they invest their time and effort into God's kingdom, that we as leaders of the church are willing to invest in their future success. And my mother, Mrs. Amy Downer, was a member of the Showers of Blessing Apostolic Church, Catadupa, until she died in 1994. So for eligibility, one scholarship will be awarded each year according to the financial need, as well as based on previous academic performance assessed via submission of the last two previous semesters' academic report or records with a completed application form. A recipient of the Mother Amy Downer Scholarship Award must be a Showers of Blessing Apostolic member, or the child or ward of a Showers of Blessing Apostolic member. So they need to be baptized and a member of the church, or if they're underage, they have a Showers of Blessing Apostolic baptized member has guardianship or authority for them. So they don't, the recipient doesn't have to be baptized and a member, but whoever has guardianship of them or is their parent is required to be. Applications for the scholarship will be accepted between June 1st and July 15th each year, and paid out or awarded in August each year. Eligible applications will be those received by Showers of Blessing Apostolic Church via channels to be determined for each intake period. That is, they're going to be hand-delivered, emailed, or mailed via regular post. All applications must include proof of acceptable academic performance or grades to be determined by the awards committee made up of Showers of Blessing Apostolic representative and a member of my family as well. Two members of my family, including myself, and announced for each intake period. So The proof of academic performance or grades is to be determined by the church and will be announced for each intake period. So the additional requirements or commitment. The grant award recipients must have successfully completed all 8 primary school and are about to enroll in their first year or semester of high school. Scholarship recipients will be required to sign a commitment to 10 hours of voluntary service at the Showers of Blessing Apostolic Church office or the Showers of Blessing Apostolic or to a Showers of Blessing Apostolic sponsored project. And why did I decide to fund this scholarship? I decided to fund the scholarship through this church in honor of my mother, Mrs. Amy Downer, because the Showers of Blessing Apostolic Church in Catadupa assisted me financially when I graduated from Kingston Technical High School in 1988 and needed financial help to attend Montego Bay Community College, which I started in 1989. I remember as if it was yesterday that I got off the train from Kingston to Catadupa at the Catadupa train station after I had traveled to Kingston to collect my Caribbean Examination Council CXC results. I had passed all 4 of the subjects I had sat at CXC. That would be English language, English literature, and office procedures. Now the 4th subject, I'm going to be honest with you, I cannot remember what it was. And that was a while ago. It was 41 years ago. So when I climbed the many steps up to the house where Elder Davis, who is the founder of the Showers of Blessing Apostolic Church, lived above the church, and I shared my good news with him about the results that I'd gotten on my CXCs, the elder beamed with pride and asked me what I wanted to do next now that I had my CXC results. And I told him that it was my goal to attend the Montego Bay Community College. And he then said, if you are able to get into the college, I will personally help you financially. All you have to do is get accepted into the college. So I applied to Comm C, which we call it Comm C or Montego College. And the rest, as they say, is history. I was accepted, and Elder Davis kept his promise. And for the 1 year that I attended the Montego Bay Community College, he did assist me financially because my mother didn't have the funds to be able to send me on her own. So sometimes, because I attended the church, I would stay at the house above the church where he lived, and other members of the church would live as well. It was kind of it was just a community house in a sense where persons would stay over as they need to, and it was a safe space. And I did so well at the Montego Bay Community College that my guidance counselor there at the time, Mrs. Jarrett, personally recommended me to her friend who was an accountant at the National Water Commission for the position of her assistant and clerk typist for the accounts department, as the position was vacant at the time. And the accountant, Mrs. Audrey Guthrie, had reached out to my guidance counselor and asked her if there were any member of the Montego Bay Community College student graduating that year that she could recommend for the role. I ended up working at the Bogue location of the National Water Commission, which is its headquarters in Western Jamaica, for about 2 years, from 1989 to 1992. And then I then applied for a job at the Jamaica Telephone Company when I saw it advertised in the Jamaica Gleaner. And I was successful in getting that job, and I worked at the telephone company for 5 years. Sorry, my computer is getting a sound from my computer. Okay, so I ended up working there for 5 years, and I remember as part of my training or onboarding was that I attended a 1-month training session in Kingston at the head office that was located at Parkington Plaza off of Halfway Tree Road, between Crossroads and Halfway Tree. And I remember Donna Hope was the secretary. She's now with the University of the West Indies, very successful, a published author, and still a very good friend of mine. She was the secretary for the head of the department that I'd been hired in, and that's how I met Donna. And we eventually ended up both living in Linstead, and sometimes we would travel together when she started school to do her law degree, and I was at University of the West Indies doing my diploma in media and communications. And so I ended up staying at the telephone company for 5 years. When I resigned in 1997 for health reasons and also to attend university to continue my studies, I then started my career in journalism after I graduated from the one-year diploma program in media and communications at UW Mona campus. And then after one semester in the undergraduate degree in mass communications, I left and moved to Canada and continued my education here. So you all might be wondering, why name the scholarship in honor of my mother if it was Elder Davis that helped me financially to attend community college? Well, up until then, it was my mother, Mrs. Amy Downer, that single-handedly and sometimes with the help of others carried me all throughout high school. I lived with my aunt Effie Barrett in Kingston initially when I first started attending high school in Kingston, Jamaica. But when she migrated to the USA to live permanently, my mother had to scramble to find somewhere suitable for me to live so I could continue and finish high school that was located in Kingston. My mother, a woman who never held a formal job all her life, except when she moved to Kingston briefly to work as a domestic helper before having to move back to Belfont, Catadupa to take care of her ailing mother, Ms. Harry, moved heaven and earth to find suitable homes in Kingston to ensure I was able to finish high school. I ended up living with two other persons or families before I graduated high school. One was at my cousin Patsy's house, who was more like an aunt to me, with her and her children, Kay and Debbie and Brian, and her husband, Basil, in Westport, Portmore, St. Catherine. The other was Mrs. Bogle, her husband, Mr. Bogle, and their daughter, Annette Bogle, on Spanish Town Road in West Kingston. And I ended up attending Burke Road Church, which is a sister church for Showers of Blessing, because I've been recommended to the family by Pastor Simon, who has taken over the helm of the church from Elder Davis and is now the pastor for Showers of Blessing Catadupa and the head oversee pastor for the other two Showers of Blessing church. That is a spin-off of the church led by former members of the original Showers of Blessing church in Catadupa that are in Ginger Hill, Claremont, and Stonehenge as well, and they'll be part of this scholarship. They'll also members of those other two churches, in addition to the church in Catadupa, the original church, will all qualify to apply for this scholarship. So in terms of, my experience with attending school and how my mother assisted and the people that assisted me, I will be talking more about those experiences in my second book, Psychosis, Diagnosed Bipolar at 50, after the launch of my first book, which I'm currently working on, with my debut novel, Crossing, which will be published before the end of this year, 2025. My mother is my heroine and was for a long time my best friend. No matter where I lived, she was a constant presence via her many letters that would arrive via the post office, and in later years via my brother Winston, who also worked a telephone company with me in Montego Bay. The Showers of Blessing Apostolic Church was the praying force of faith that strengthened my mother for the numerous spiritual, financial, and other battles that she had to fight for me throughout the years. It was King Solomon that said, "There is nothing new under the sun." And today, there are numerous other mothers who are raising their children single-handedly with only the help of God and a praying church. It is those mothers and children that this scholarship fund will seek to assist, one shining diamond in the rough at a time. My mother, Miss Amy Downer, taught me that an education will open doors of opportunity for me, and she was right. In the years that I spent away from my mother and my siblings, books and the characters who people their pages became my best friends and even my family. By age 9, when I was in grade 5 in the all-age or primary school in Jamaica, in Goodwill St. James, I had read every single book in the school library. I had moved to Goodwill St. James on the recommendation of another member of my church who worked with a lady who was well, semi-retired. She worked at Jamal. I don't know if persons remember that. Persons in Jamaica would know. The Jamal office in Montego Bay. Her children, her 4 children were grown. She was living with her husband. They were retired, and they wanted just a child to stay with them in case, you know, they're older, when they haven't, just to have someone to help around, help them around if they got sick in the night. There was somebody young and agile to help them. And my mother, as I said, couldn't financially afford to take care of all the 13 children she had. That will be also in my book, in my second book. She had 13 children. 1 died at childbirth, and so far of the other 12 that remained, 2 have died, and they were both murdered, and the rest of us remain 9, 10, 11, 12. So 9 of us remain. Of the 9, only 2 are girls, myself and my sister Desiree. We call her Precious. So when I couldn't find any new books to read in that library in Goodwill in Chatham, where I'd moved to live with Mrs. Wilson and her husband, Mr. Wilson, based on the recommendation of a cousin of ours, Mrs. Daphne Clennon, who was also a member of the Catadupa Showers of Blessing Apostolic Church. The then principal of the school, Mr. Bowen, who doubled as the librarian, took pity on me and started bringing books from his personal literary stash at home to lend to me. Books and learning have opened numerous doors of opportunity for me, and now at 55 years old, I am still enrolled in school. I will complete a graduate certificate program in public administration at Seneca Polytechnic College in Canada, here in Toronto, where I now live, in April 2026. There's an African saying, if you want to travel fast, go alone. But if you want to travel far, carry others or someone with you. And we reach further and do more by standing on the shoulders of giants. It is important that we reach back and help others when we've been assisted in the past. And so the circle of kindness will continue even when we have not fully arrived at our destination ourselves. Life is a continuum. So we need to do what we can when we can, with faith that God, the God we serve, will provide. And it was Nelson Mandela who said, it's always impossible until it's done. 2 Timothy 2 verse 5 says, study to show thyself approved. I look forward to pouring into the lives and future successes of the future recipients of this award in memory and honor of my mother, Mrs. Amy Downer. And I thank God for the opportunities that have been provided to me so that I myself can provide opportunity for others.